By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to build any ship in Star Citizen. I'm going to share with you how I build my ships and what goes into it. I'll show you exactly my thought process, give you a component list with the best meta components that you can buy in shops at the moment, and go over a couple of things on how to optimize your ship's power. So first, let's dive into the meta components. For meta components, there's a lot going on, but we basically get our weapons, power plant, shields, coolers, and quantum drive, and they come in different sizes, size 1 to size 3. First off, weapons is the easiest thing. You can just type in CF repeaters. These are usually the best option in most cases, but if you're really into PvE only, then you can go attritions. These have a lot of damage, but their projectile speed is a lot slower. And if your ship is really power hungry, sometimes I'll even go with ballistics, but this is very rare. Now for our power plants, the base power plant that you can start off with is usually a stealth power plant. Why do we do this? Well, we want to optimize our ship build by having the lowest signature, but still maxing out most of our weapons, thrusters, and shields. Most stealth power plants will give us the ability to do this, but in some cases we can't, so we'll move on to a better power plant, the Luma Core. The Luma Core will give us the max amount of power that we can buy in shops, but also has a pretty decent low signature, so we'll pair it with this. We always want to keep our signature as low as possible just to optimize so that we can avoid any missiles or detection. This is the best way to build your ship at the moment, since engineering is not in yet. Moving on to shields. Shields is very boring at the moment. You only take the best shield HP. Regeneration doesn't matter that much. Plus all of these shields have pretty decent regeneration at the moment as well. So for shields, I just go with the Palisade with size 1. Always pretty decent. For cooling, cooling doesn't matter at the moment at all. This is why we go with the Vapor Block. All coolers will be stealth coolers, just because you only need 1 pip in cooling. Otherwise, your heat signature will climb to insane amounts, making you easy to spot and easy to missile down. For quantum drive, I usually go with the stealth quantum drive, but sometimes the cross section can be very big, so I'll go with the bottom quantum drive. I'll show you exactly how to build each size ship in a minute, just so that you can get a good reference. But in most cases, I'll go with the green first, and if it doesn't work, I'll switch over to the blue. You can definitely screenshot this component list, but just remember, always try the green components first, and if you can't max out your power, switch to a better power plant, for example the Starburn, and then move on from there. But shields are pretty easy. All of these shields are meta. So the Palisade, Rampart, Parapet, and then we move over to coolers, Vapor Block, Icebox, Cryostar XL, and then for quantum drives, they're not too difficult. The Zephyr, Colossus, Bolt, Hemera, and Acne. But size 3 ships don't really get a lot of choice. Since they're so big, you don't really have to worry about them. Now that you know the component list, you can screenshot this. Let me move over to Urkel to show you exactly my thought process as I build a ship out, why I choose some components over the others. For a size 1 ship, I'm going to choose the Gladius. It's a good example of how you have to choose different components because it doesn't always match. For our weapons, we're just going to go CF repeaters. This is a PvP ship. CF repeaters, really good. You just go here, type in CF, and you choose your repeater that's the biggest. CF repeaters is the best. Why is it the best? Well, they have very decent projectile speed, meaning you can hit smaller ships, so very good damage as well. CF repeaters, usually the king. You do get other weapons that you can use like attritions for PvE, but in most cases a very good weapon is a CF repeater. You'll never really regret that decision. For missiles, I don't really care too much about missiles, but in most cases the only thing you need to worry about is electromagnetic missiles. Just want to take this over anything else. They're the best at the moment. I didn't include it on the spreadsheet since they don't matter to me at all. But in most cases, if you're going to use missiles, just use electromagnetic. Now let's move over the shields. You can see Shields, we don't have a lot of options. If you refer back to the sheet, we just go Palisades. They're always the best. And now for the power plant, you can see here, I didn't choose the stealth power plant because we won't be able to max out our energy on the right hand side here. If I went with the stealth one, which is the Delta Max here, you'll see I won't be able to max out everything. So in this case, I'm going to go with the Luma Core because we need that power. It's always important if you need to swap out your power, max out your thrusters first. Boost is very important in this game. Rather avoid damage than taking it to your shield. Moving on to our cooler. We're always going to go with a vapor block with size 1 ships just because engineering is not in and it only gives us 1 pip in cooling. If you don't have this in cooling, you'll see that your signature here will keep rising and rising and eventually it will be very big. And then you get people that says, why can't I avoid missiles? Well, this is the reason. And then finally for quantum drive, you're going to see here is the Zephyr. Just because it will keep our signature nice and low. You can always go with the Colossus, but you'll see our signature will increase by quite a bit. So in most cases, if you want efficiency, go with the Colossus. But if you want lower signature, then just go with the stealth one. That's basically how I built all my size 1 ships. Let's move on to the bigger ships, a size 2. For our size 2 ship, I'm going to choose the Cutlass. Just a very easy ship to build. You can see my weapons again, CF repeaters. Now for the turret, I did remove the weapons on the turret. Why do I do this? Well, you can see here, it saves us 2 pips of power. So very good for us. In most cases, when I play solo, I'll always do this, but you can always include something here. If you have a body, for example, if I include a CF repeater, I'm going to need more power, but then I'm going to have to swap out my power plant here. But in this case, I'm playing solo. So I'm just going to leave it empty so that we can save that power. For our shield here, for a size 2 ship, always going to be the rampart. For the power plant, because the catalyst uses such little energy, we can go with a stealth power plant. This will keep our signature nice and low so that we can max out our power as well. Moving on to the cooler, obviously we're going to go with an icebox. Icebox is non-negotiable. It's always icebox. Since cooling doesn't matter at the moment, it only matters because you need 1 pip in cooling and this will be sufficient. And then of course we move on to the quantum drive here, the bolt, stealth one again. You can always go with the Hemera, but your signature will be climbing. So I'll stick with my bolt for now. You can see the signature's quite low. Sure, we have a bigger cross section than all of these other numbers, but cross section also depends on which way you're facing. If your nose is facing towards the target, your cross section will be a lot smaller than when you face the top side or the bottom side of your ship. This 13,000 here is basically the top side of your ship. So technically you can have a lower cross section as long as you face your nose towards the target. Let's move on to size 3 ships here. So I'm just going to do the Hercules here. It's size 3 components completely. Usually I like to go CF repeaters again. You can go attritions. But in most cases you just want to make sure that you have the base weapons. And then if you play solo, you want to remove the turrets again. If you're not playing solo, obviously, include the turrets that were more helpful than anything else. But for the main shield, Parapet again, base shield HP is very good in general. We want to max out the power. We don't really get stealth options with size 3 components. So we just want to max out the power. We can't really use stealth just because the ship is so big. So just max out your power here. Then for cooling, cooling still matters here. You can reduce it by quite a bit. This cooler, we only need to have 2 pips in cooling. You'll see if we remove those 2 pips, our signature does go down by quite a bit. So always a good idea, just remove it. You don't really need the cooling at the moment. And then finally, the Agni quantum drive here. Just a very good quantum drive in general. It's not the fastest, but it does have quite decent fuel consumption. This is why I choose it. It's like very balanced. This is why we go with this. And that's basically all 3 ship sizes. But sometimes you can get something like a Corsair. It will be way different. For example, the Corsair has a lot of weapons and turrets, which I removed because I'm playing solo again. I'm mostly a solo player. This is why I also apply this to these builds. But you can see CF repeaters completely again, just because I prefer them. I think they're the best at the moment. And then I removed all the turrets. But something special about the Corsair, it comes with a size 3 shield, even though it has size 2 power plants. Now for the shield, we just still go with the base shield, that is the parapet. And then we can even put 2 stealth power plants into the Corsair, making it very optimal. Even with stealth power plants, we'll be able to max out everything. But of course, if you have gunners or so forth, you'll need to compensate by changing out your power plant. For example, if I include a gunner here, CF repeaters, you can see we won't be able to max out our power anymore. So we need to compensate by changing this up. Let's choose the best power plant now. So the best power plant will be the Star Burn. This will give us some of our power back, but we're not quite there yet. So we need to include another one. And now, because we have a gunner, you can see, because we changed up the power plants, we can finally max everything out here. But we'll still keep the stealth cooler, and we can go with the meta just because the signature is so big. We don't need a stealth one. It will have no use. So we'll just go with the meta since it's faster and more fuel efficient. But if you wanted stealth, you can always go back to the bolt, which will reduce your signature just a little bit here. You hit signature or IR, but in most cases, you'll probably just want to go with the meta at this point just because our signature here is basically the same as this one. So going back to the component list here, our first choice is always the choices in green. And then if we don't have enough power, we can go with the choices in blue. I have included ballistics here as well. Sometimes it's just impossible to max out power. Then you can start playing with ballistics here and there to reduce the power consumption. For example, you can also put ballistics in turrets to save yourself some power, so your gunners will have ballistics. But just remember, ballistics do run out eventually. You will need to go restock. That's why I prefer the laser repeaters at the moment, just because I don't like restocking. I like to stack missions together so that I can do them over and over again and farm money. Hopefully this little component list will help you build your own ship. I can't always make up-to-date videos of every ship since I'm very busy, but this might help you put your own ship together so you don't need to ask for help. If you found this video helpful, please leave a like, and if you want to see more videos like this, then you can watch this video right here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.